Greetings everyone. I wanted to give you a little update on how things were coming with the sounds on my Vader's Vault Hero. I told you before that I had some issues with sounds. There was some clicking that was happening at the end of each of the sounds, so I wanted to update you on how that was going. I want to give a shout out to Rob K, who commented on my last video about going to the Plector website, and they have some pages on their website to help give you some pointers on how to edit some sound files. So I looked that over, and that was very informative, so I want to thank Rob K for help on that. So what I want to do is I want to show you just some of the changes that I've made on some of the sounds. Let's see, which one do I have up right now? I think... Okay, so that one might be... Okay, so this is the original sound. This is when you get your lightsaber, there's 3 sound fonts that's on here. 3 sound banks that comes with it. So this one was on... This was bank 1. So it has... I like that very much. That's one of my favorite fonts to use. But I've also changed a couple. The second font that was loaded on here was a dark side font. I went ahead and removed that and instead messed around with it a little bit. Now this sound font may not be entirely cohesive, but it's sort of my effort at putting together a more functional sound font. Not necessarily that all the sounds go together, but I can explain a couple things of what I did. Okay, so that ignition was Count Dooku's ignition, because it's pretty similar. It just has a little bit more of a venomous hiss to it. Listen to it again. And it has that hum to it. Kind of gargles a little bit in the speaker just because there's so much bass in it. So I did a little bit of equalizing and took out some bass on it already to make it less intense. So that's what I did for that. Now the hum. Whoops. I like the way that it pitches up and down. This hum I actually got from Jedi Academy, Jedi Outcast. They use the same thing. It has kind of a more tenor hum, not as rumbly as the other one was. Now, let's see what I did. Okay, now one thing that I didn't do is I didn't change the swings. So when you listen to it, this is an example of when you're not being careful changing your sounds. You need to make sure that the background hum matches the hum sound that's just the regular hum. You have to put that hum underneath the swing sound. You have to layer that in there, and I'll show you a little bit on computer of how to do that. You have to make sure that there's the hum sound that matches for when you're swinging, so that you don't just have an empty swing sound without any hum, and then it goes seamlessly from one to the next to the next. So there's that. But what I also did, turn it back on here, was I was successful at the clashes of doing it so there's no clicking. Okay, so okay. Some of those are also, they're pieced together from other things. Some of them I had gotten from old mods of Jedi Outcast, like prequel sabers or trilogy sabers, whatever it was that mod was called. And I put those clash sounds and put the hum in the same thing. Now what I did to eliminate the popping was on the website that Rob K pointed out to me. It says that if the wave files, because you have the upside and the downside of a wave for sound, okay? what he said that you want to do is you want to just make sure that the start and the end of it is at that middle line, that middle equalized, maybe equalized might not be the correct word, but that middle line between the ups and the downs. That way you have a clean sound that has a clean finish. Otherwise, if it finishes off in the middle of a wave, that might make your pop. Now what I did to actually get around it is I didn't actually do that, but I left the hum. For every sound file, I put the hit on it, or the swing, and then I just let the hum go. I didn't trim it off. So each sound is actually, on this one, like 5 seconds long before it finally goes back to the hum. Because the hum is already fine. The hum was already perfect. It loops by itself with no problem. So I just didn't bother with trimming it. I just let every sound be 5 seconds long. So the ignition, there's hum after it. It's a 5 second long, and there's just hum at the end of it, and then it loops perfectly back into it. It just loops perfectly. And with this one, you can hear a little bit of fluctuation in there. So that's even more important. If it's just a straight hum, then you don't have to worry about it too much. But this one, it's a little bit wavier. So I just let it go. I just let each sound hit just carry on to the end of that 5 seconds or whatever, using that hum, because that hum will loop on itself, okay? So that's what I did with it. Now, this was the font that, the third font, Sound Bank 3, that came on here, okay? What I did was I changed the swings. The classes are all the same. I didn't mess with the clashes because I like those, they're fine. This is the exclusive sound font that came with it, this Return of the Jedi sound font. But I changed the swings. Now, I have the hum underneath, so listen. Okay, so I have the hum in those sound files underneath the swings, and I just let the hum go. It's a long hum. It's a long hum. So each of these sound files that's on here is like 10 seconds long, or however long the hum is. That's okay. It's okay to just leave it like that, because the SD card is 2 gigs. It can hold a few extra seconds of sound for each one. It'll be fine. Okay, so I'm really happy with how it works now. Okay, really happy with how that works, because there's no popping, there's no clicking, anything like that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you just a little bit on computer how I set it up. Okay, so here on my computer, I have Audacity that I use for sound editing, okay? Now, it's really important when you are messing with sounds. This is one of the most important things to do, and other people who will tell you how you can change your sound fonts will say the same thing. Look at what I have. This is my folder that I just keep on my desktop. Saber config is just what I call it. Now, you have to make a backup copy of the stock sounds that you keep there. Well, just the programs, at least the programming. So these are the original sounds that came with it, plus the text files that control the sounds and the lighting and all of that, okay? Keep that safe somewhere. So I call this default do not delete, as just a note to myself, okay? Now over here is the folder to play with. So I have these here. These are just extra folders of sounds like this. These are sounds that I had from Jedi Outcast, with some different ones like that. Like this is that Dooku on sound I told you about. Okay. Some other ones that you might recognize. Let's see. The Reborn. Anybody? When they always say, "You will die," or something like that. These came from Jedi Academy. Now there's two of them because there's the original ones that actually were from the game, like this one, I think. Come on. What are you doing? Oh, it did that thing where it didn't make it. I have to wait a few seconds now. Okay, well let me just pull up here while it's crashing on me. Let me do. Oh, it did it. That was a swing that came from Jedi Academy. And I'll show you a little bit of what I had to do with that too. Actually, I'll just do that now while I'm thinking of it, or else I'll forget. Which one was it? I think I just picked this one. Let me bring up Audacity here. Now, I'm going to take and I'm going to drag this in here. I'll show you how to make a sound, okay? Now, here's the swing. Take a listen. Okay? Notice how there's all this extra right here in front, okay? You're going to need to take that out if you're going to make that into a thing. So let me take out maybe from here. Let's see if I can do this one hand, or do this with the mouse pad. Okay. I'm just going to take out this extra bit so that, let me zoom out again now a little. Come on. Come on. You know you want to. Okay, not that much. Okay. That way it's just right there, right at the beginning. Now, if you load that, if you save that as a WAV file and you name it Swing 1, because this is what it was called on Jedi Outcast in the assets file. If you load it up like this, it's going to sound like that, just an empty swing. You have to put in the hum, which I made a hum that I put in here. H, alphabetical order here. So let me drag this in here. All right, this is the hum that came from Jedi Academy. You can see how it's not a perfect straight thing. It's got some fluctuations to it. Now listen to it. You hear that? Now, I think if yeah, that way. Just listen to the... Okay, it's working fine. It's working fine. That's what you have to do in order to do that. And then, if you're doing Audacity, in case you're just not used to this or whatever, export. Export is how, don't do save as. It's going to do it as an Audacity project file, not something that you can use. And then, just make sure whatever you're doing, don't overwrite something you don't want to. You can make just an extra folder, like make a new folder if you want to in here and just call it new sounds, new corrections, whatever you want to do with that, just so you can keep things straight. But, you know, if anything goes weird, then just remember you always have your safety, okay? You always have your safety to fall back on, okay? So you would save it as whatever it is that you want to save it as. It has to be the WAV file, okay? That's what this Crystal Shard 4 uses. Vader's Vault got Crystal Shard 4 on all of these. Okay, let me take this out and let me put a clash in, just for kicks. I don't know if this is one that I already messed with. I guess not. Okay, so listen to this one here. Okay. Now you're also going to want to trim off the beginning of this. Because what happens is if you don't trim off the excess, then... I'm trying to do this while looking at it through my phone. It's like weird. It's like looking through somebody else's eyes. Okay. You got to make sure that it's right at the beginning. See there, it sounds like, and again, just let the hum go through. That's fine. It sounds like it happens right away. You hear that? Because if I left that if I left that little extra bit there, it's almost so small that you can't tell, but you can tell when you hit something and then it's a delayed reaction. You can hear just the slightest barely missing of it. It's so small you almost can't tell. But if you take it right up to the edge of it, then it'll be perfect, because then your flash will match the sound and it'll be perfect when you hit it like that, okay? So that's what you have to do with that. And again, I just let the hum go. Now let me put in a different hum to play with here. Let me pull up this one, I think. This was the Return of the Jedi one that came with it. And I didn't change the hum, I just left it, okay? You'll notice this hum is much longer. It's a 12-second hum. Okay, no problem. Okay. I just let it go. I just let it go all the way through here, so it's a 12-second long thing. Because on the lightsaber, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter on the lightsaber, because when you swing, it's just going to start the next song. It's going to start the next one. When you swing, it'll start the next swing. If you hit something, it'll go straight to a hit. If you turn it off, it'll turn it off. So it's not going to wait for the sound to get done. So don't worry about that. And like I said, the SD cards are really big, so don't worry about the extra time running out of space on your SD card. It'll be fine. SD cards will hold plenty of space there. So that's the way I did it. That's the way I did it. Now, you do have to have a clean hit in order to properly mix it. Because let me now show you a clash that I stole, or not stole, let me steal one from just one of these, okay? Oh wait, that's not going to work. That has the same thing. Let me take one of the originals. Actually, let me do this one. Let me put a swing in there. A swing that's not going to match the hum, okay? I don't know what this one sounds like right now. Okay, so let's just hear what this one sounds like by itself. What is this one here? Oops, I gotta rewind it. Okay, now that has a swing and it had hum underneath it already. So if you're just gonna take from one folder and drop into another one and think it's gonna work, it's not, because you still have the hum to fight against here. Do you hear that? They don't match. Listen again. Okay, so it's not going to work. Both of the sounds, well actually both the sounds won't play. What it's going to sound like is, because I don't think Crystal Shard can play two sounds at once. That was part of the issue. That's why you have to put the, I'm just going to silence. If I delete it, it's just going to, what do I have to do? No, not effect. Generate. Get off it. I have to generate silence for just that length here. Okay, this is what happens when you're actually doing it on the saber, if you load it up this way. Okay, maybe you're not going to hear that much difference from what. But when one sound is done, the other sound goes back. That's the way it works on the Crystal Shard 4, at least from my experience. One sound plays, the other one does. So if it doesn't have, so you have to put the hum in there, but the hum has to match too. So you can't just borrow from one font and borrow from the other font, because if, at least on these pre-made ones that you get from, that come on the sabers, it'll all mesh together. Well, no, it won't mesh together. It'll just be a mishmash instead of just sounds with different hums, different everything. It's not going to be a cohesive sound. If you don't care, okay. But it's just not going to work that great. Wow, this is the really boring part of just looking at the computer, isn't it? Well, anyway, that's just, hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight into making sound fonts. Just a couple things you have to be careful of. So yeah, I guess that's really what I got. It's just a little sound update for you. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.